Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host, Gershwan, and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today we continue talking about the Imperial Guard as we get into the Asgardian Rangers. We answer the question of why it's beneficial for the Imperium to continue to use cavalry by analyzing the Asgardian Rangers Regiment. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40K content every single day, and hit the little bell notification icon if you guys want to stay updated as far as when we post our videos. If not, just subscribe, because what's the difference? It's not like YouTube's going to notify you, right? But again, if you have any questions about other topics that you guys would like us to answer in a video like this, comment down below. And if you like these videos, share them with your friends. But with that said, let's get into 40 facts on the Asgardian Rangers. Asgardian Rangers are the elite cavalry-based regiments of the Imperial Guard that specialize in scouting, camouflage, and infiltration. Hailing from the feudal world of Asgard, the Asgardian Rangers are often viewed as primitive, almost feral, and the Rangers' feudal background does little to alter this perception. The world of Asgard was technologically suspended far beyond many other imperial societies. Gunpowder-based devices represented the basic level of technology until the world was rediscovered by expeditionary fleets during the Great Crusade. Legions of mounted warriors were discovered to be the elite fighting force amongst the tribes and households of the planet. These Asgardians pledged loyalty and allegiance to their regional tribes, and once part of the tribe, the mounted warriors would defend their lands against other human tribes. The shock of being disconnected from the greater human empire during the Age of Strife reduced the Asgardian culture to primitive warmongers, but despite these limitations, the Asgardians developed highly sophisticated techniques in animal training that surpassed those of any other imperial society. It was discovered by explorators that the connection that the Asgardians developed with their mounts was one of almost symbiotic relationship. Warriors were able to maneuver their steeds with agility and speed unparalleled to any seen before on any other planet. Seeing the potential in these elite warriors, the Imperial Expeditionary Fleet dispatched tech priests and genitors on the planet to continue to push the warriors' progress. The goal became raising an elite cavalry force capable of being inducted into the Imperial Army. Experimentations on the Asgardian mounts continued throughout the 30th millennium. The tech priest in charge of the project attempted to enhance the durability and improve the speed of these creatures without disturbing the already strong connection between Asgardian and their mount. The project proved to be successful, and the elite mounted warriors were inducted into the Imperial Army. These specialized warriors became known as the Asgardian Rangers, and they continued to fight for the Imperium of Man even after the Horus Heresy. It has been observed that the Asgardian Rangers have many advantages in their use throughout a war zone, above and beyond the scouts of the Space Marines. When facing a tactical situation that is very fluid, the Asgardians take advantage by utilizing the sheer speed of their biological enhanced mounts, manipulatively bred for generations by their world's contingents of tech priests. The mount's incredible endurance and tenacity, coupled with their engineered resistance to wounds and toxins, can carry the Rangers through the worst of enemy-held territory, as they follow armies, staying out of the reach of opposing scouts and outriders. The biologically enhanced physiology of these war mounts has also provided the Rangers the ability to travel for a long period of time without food or water for their steeds. What this means is that when cut from supply lines or severed from the main military body and unable to rendezvous, the Asgardian Rangers can simply wait out their foes. Operating in small units, the Asgardian Rangers are experts at maneuvering through the front lines, capable of moving in and out of enemy territories without being spotted. Speed is their prime advantage, as they can traverse a long stretch of land in a very short period of time. They will often move around their enemies, taking much longer paths in order to remain unseen. Trails often thought to be too dangerous or time-consuming will be ignored by enemy forces, giving the Asgardian Rangers a free path for reconnaissance. When behind enemy lines, the Asgardian Rangers have the added advantage of stealth compared to mechanized units of other Imperial Guard regiments. While a scout bike or Imperial walker is loud and hard to hide, especially from enemy air forces, an Asgardian mount can easily hide, often in plain sight, as the mount or mounts will be seen as simply wild animals. While not tasked to do so, The Asgardian Rangers have been known to sabotage enemy forces in order to tip the balance of a military campaign. Capable of destroying supply lines or contaminating water or energy sources before the full enemy force arrives, the Rangers will stop at nothing to disrupt the archenemy. This also works in sowing paranoia and a sense of being watched on the enemy, a scare tactic often encouraged by Imperial commanders when attempting to eradicate a rebellious human force. Many Asgardian Ranger regiments have assisted in the pacification of planetary rebellions, and have seen many Imperial worlds fall back into Imperial compliance due to their tactics. While not normally utilized as an assaulting force by the Imperium of Man, the Asgardian Rangers are trained to execute ambush assaults whenever the opportunity warrants a successful assault of this kind. Enemy units can be lured into vulnerable positions where the lightning-fast assault of these mounted warriors will result in the destruction of the enemy. The Asgardian Rangers have also come in handy when pursuing renegade Imperial governors or escaped convicts that have no means of traveling out of the planet. Used as bounty hunter units, the Rangers utilize the great endurance of their mounts to tire out their prey. Often, a savvy fugitive will land on a feral world, or perhaps a feudal world, in the hopes of evading capture, knowing that the Imperium would not waste resources on a chase through a wild environment. Finding it much easier to hide within the planet's diverse ecosystem, these escapees underestimate the Imperium's flexibility when it comes to deploying specialized units like the Asgardian Rangers. Very few can outrun these mounted warriors. During the Third War of Armageddon, the Asgardians' ability to stay in the field and subsist in the most desolate of areas often proved invaluable. Scout Marines mounted on assault bikes were often constrained by the need for fuel, for resources could not be spared in the ash wastes of the hive world like Armageddon, and they also suffered in situations where stealth rather than skill at arms was required. In addition, the territory north of the hive city of Hell's Reach and that surrounding the nearest orc drop site were directly comparable to the terrain of the Rangers' own homeworld, thus granting the Asgardians a familiarity of surroundings that so many of the Imperial forces on Armageddon lacked. The Asgardian Rangers were the clear choice to be utilized in such regions in the absence of Adeptus Astartes support. No other army on the planet had their skills or knowledge of reconnaissance within the enemy-held territory. Though small in number, the Rangers of Asgard provided a great deal of intelligence on the force distribution of the orcs. Despite their late appearance as a component of the Imperial forces on Armageddon, many technical catastrophes were averted by the vigilance of these versatile troops. Under the guidance of General Odwin, these cavalry-based regiments were dispersed across the entirety of the continent of Armageddon Secundus. It was rare that these units were actually consigned to fight at the front line, but all reports suggested that the Asgardian Rangers were fierce and able fighters, and their biologically enhanced steeds were as ferocious as their masters. Sheer mass and speed of the Warbound's charge could easily knock out any common foe. The bite of these creatures could tear off huge chunks of flesh, and a well-timed kick could decapitate even a greenskin. And those were 40 facts on the Asgardian Rangers. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, share it with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, whatever social media you guys use. It really helps out the channel when you do so. If you guys like the images that I used in the beginning of the video, those come from a comic book called Hombre the comic book art is by Ortiz, so make sure to check that out down in the description below. It's pretty cool art, different than what we're used to for Warhammer 40k, less grimdark and more feudal, but I really wanted to showcase the fact that feudal worlds are exactly what they sound. They're feudal worlds, so when you think of certain genres of just anything, fantasy, of cowboy and Indian, samurais, anything like that, they fit in Warhammer 40k because of these feudal worlds. These feudal worlds are basically primitive societies that you can mold into whatever. If you want to have Vikings in 40k, you got the Fenrisian tribes. You want to have Mongols and the Mongolian Empire. You have the Jagatai Khan, or what are they called? The White Scar's home planet. So those basically horseback riders that are in the plains of Chogoris, I want to say. I think that's the planet. Comment down below, let me know what the correct White Scar's planet is. I can't remember. And I hope you guys got a good understanding as to what benefits the Imperium has in using Rough Riders and Cavalry. It's definitely a specialized unit. It's not something that you can just throw at a foe randomly. The foe has to be right, or the scenario should be right for the situation. But if you have an intelligent commander, if you have a campaign that or where the Imperium understands the role of the environment in the campaign and how they can use it to win the war, then yeah, by all means, our Rough Riders and Cavalry is very important in a campaign, like you saw in Armageddon. Even in a place like Armageddon that's like drenched in just toxic fumes and waste, there are Rough Riders that are perfect for this type of environment. The fact that they are immune to toxins and whatnot helps them out in planets that are civilized planets where hive cities rule, and basically the wastelands are just wastelands. So it's fun to think about that, and yeah, I hope this inspired you to, if you want to create an Imperial Guard army, do Rough Riders. Play around with Rough Riders and see what you can do. Another thing, too, they don't necessarily have to be on horseback. The Rough Riders themselves, the regiment of the Rough Riders, I think it's the Atalan Rough Riders, if I'm not mistaken, but they have lizards, or they ride lizards, which is pretty badass. Play around with third-party models, play around with models like the Kroot. They used to have the Krootox, and then they used to have the smaller versions of the Krootox. I think they came 3 in a pack, but if you can find those models on eBay, you can convert them to be pretty badass looking Rough Riders. Just thoughts. Comment down below and let me know if you guys use Rough Riders in your army. If you guys have custom built any Rough Riders, let me know of your Instagram page and we can go check them out. Might do a little like short showcasing video with all of your guys' art if you guys are interested in showing your art to me. But again, guys, thank you so much for listening. If you guys like our content, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps out the channel when you do so, and we do have Patreon, so if you want to help us out, you can jump on over to Patreon. Simple $1 a month helps us create more videos, but you guys already all know that. So thanks again for everything, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. This was Gersh1 with One Mind Syndicate signing out.